glad to know that you're still there. It's time to go to the press and see what headlines are there for us to look at. They aren't that much this morning, but we still are going to do justice to the few that we find. Joining us this morning is Mohammed Abdullahi. He's a public affairs analyst, and we will be looking at the headlines together. Mohammed, good morning and welcome to the program.
Yeah, good morning, Matthias. My pleasure.
Okay. Barka di Salah in Arias to you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we will start this morning with telcos, with the Business MG rather. Business MG, we're not starting with the major headline here. We're starting with a smaller headline. Tinubu Commission's rebuilt ICC now bears his name. Okay, so was it yesterday or so they recommissioned the ICC building? It has been built before, I know, but it has been refurbished now and then immediately given the name of Tinubu. Before he leaves office, maybe he will have like 500 buildings or roads or infrastructure named after him. But I'd like you to just comment on that ceremony and the work of Nyesom Wike in the FCT.
I think it's a good development that the International Conference Center is refurbished. It's one of our landmark projects in Nigeria. I mean, it's one legacy project that's been hosting international events and prominent even national events. So it's a good development that it's up to standard. You know, like we keep saying as Nigerians, our maintenance culture is quite deplorable. So I want to believe the works put together now, or the plans that are put together now, is not just the refurbishment. There are plans also to maintain the facility at least to some certain years before we start talking about another refurbishment. So it's a good one, even though I know what has been trending yesterday is actually not the refurbishment of the property per se, I mean of the conference center per se. It's actually the renaming of the place. Yeah, critics are saying, why must every landmark project be named after the sitting president? I think, but it's our culture here. For every works that people do, I mean, people in government, even though it is done with taxpayers' money, those projects are actually named outrightly after them. Which for me, I see so many things wrong with that. Seriously, because I don't know why. In fact, people are clamoring for the fact that if everything is named after the president, perhaps someday, which is quite possible, that we might see that the country is actually named after a sitting president someday soon. But by and large, the refurbishment is a good one. We hope maintenance will have been put in gear, and so we get to use the property for the good of Nigeria and Nigerians.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking this morning that why not we legislate? You know, we make a law that for anything to be named after anybody, if you are a sitting president or governor or local government chairman, it can only be named after you at least two tenors after you have served, so that we would know how your legacies are remembered. Because 2 tenors after you have served, if you are still remembered and something is named after you, that means you really did something great. But now people just want to go fabricate anything and make sure that it's named after them, and then that's the end of the thing. So nobody wants to think about the future, because you need only the future that can have your name. You'll be sure to do it by yourself. Well,
that's not a bad idea, and I actually truly subscribe to that as well. But it will be very difficult in this part of the world. You know, we do things just to what we call show off.
Yeah, exactly.
Not to like impress the people. And again, the ironical thing is, even those in government, whether the sitting president, the sitting governors, and chairmen of local government areas. This is what they want. They want to see their names plastered everywhere. You understand? Because I am sure Wike didn't just wake up one morning to say, okay, the place will be named after him. He must have, like, at least, perhaps maybe before now, put it to the president to say, okay, we'll commission this so day, and then it will carry your name. So if the president did not align with that, he would have dropped the name immediately to say, no, I don't want it. So they understand that this is what the politicians want. So everybody is doing it, you know. If you are able to build a road that goes into your community and you name it after a certain politician, you are almost sure that he or she will come there to commission and perhaps give some voice, things like we usually say. So it's what the people in government want, and so the society is spanning towards that thought.
Well, that's why I commend the former governor of Cross River State, Donald Duke. He made it very clear to everybody that no matter what he does, while he's still in government, nothing should be named after him, whether by the local government chairman or anybody that is doing anything. Nothing should be named after him. And after that, I'm not sure I've found anything named after a sitting governor in Cross River State. So it's doable in Nigeria, and I hope that every other person will borrow a leaf. Till this day, we are still talking about Donald and how he performed in Cross River State. Everybody has their faults, but at least he did very well, and we remember him for that. Okay, so we still have, still on the business NG, federal government loses $10 million World Bank fund over audit failures. So this is a headline that's just struck me. Audit failures made them to lose $10 million World Bank fund. What's your take?
I think that's a systemic failure, perhaps, which I can't grasp, you know, because that's a humongous amount, $10 million. In this economy that is needing every naira that is available. So I think it's just simple. People who were in charge, I mean, people who, you know, caused this failure should be made to pay. If there is anything that is in the system of what is available in terms of punishment, I think it should be meted out, because people cannot commit such mistake, whether it's by omission or by commission, and then they are allowed to just continue on their job. Perhaps in the future they might even do worse. So I think all hands must be on deck, and then people who allow such an error to occur, whatsoever the loss is, they should be made to face it.
Yeah, according to the World Bank in this report, their June 2025 restructuring document addressed to the Federal Ministry of Finance, Nigeria fell short of delivering on several performance-based conditions, including a $4 million audit of revenue agencies such as Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, and the Nigeria Customs Service, which was deemed substandard and not compliant with international audit standards. Not only did we lose, or we are ready to lose this billions of dollars, but the fact is that auditing is a problem in Nigeria. While people are being taxed every day to pay so much money, the money that already is supposed to be in the government coffers, there's no proper auditing to account for this money, and we lose this money. So we are not only losing the World Bank fund that we would have had, it's a credit facility that they could have given us, but they asked us to audit some government agencies which we were not able to do. And I wonder why it's so difficult to audit these public accounts and public infrastructure or public agencies.
That's surprising. If the agencies that you mentioned just now, you mentioned
FIRS
service.
yes,
that's shocking that we are unable to, because I'm sure they are the federal agency that is in charge of taxing, across the country. So if we are unable to, audit that kind of agency properly, so what then are we saying? As a country, including even the customs, Because you remember now the customs is a revenue generating agency for a very long time now. So it's just lack of transparency and accountability that we find all across board in the country, and that's shocking. So I think it is important that we must employ this culture of transparency and accountability, because it's rubbing off on everyone as a Nigerian, and even as a country for us. Like I said earlier, we all need every naira and kobo at this moment to make this country work. So if because of our lack of transparency and accountability, we are missing such humongous fund from the World Bank, and then we are even unable to audit FAIRS, FIRS itself, that is not telling well of us as Nigerians and even as a country. So we must do better, please.
Okay, let's just borrow like 2 to 4 minutes and answer these questions as quickly as possible. We'll go to the Guardian newspaper. Less than 30% public schools have computer labs, ICT survey pupils. And WAEC is talking about implementing the ICT-based examination in 2027 at least. I think they said they were going to start this December or something like that. But soon enough, in the next 2 years, we're going to see WAEC being written in ICT compliance centers or something. But just like the JAM is being done right now, even with the glitches that we're finding out these days. So now that the report has come that less than 30% of public schools have these computer labs and ICT survey pupils, do you think it's a policy that we are going to see through, something that can work in Nigeria in the next 5 even to 10 years?
It's a daunting task, seriously, and it's a part of our challenges in this part of the world that government policies per se don't follow the right procedures. Because I think it's simple. Just like JAMP, if WAEC is talking about CBT exams, rightly, I think what they are just saying is that Nigerian students and pupils should just go learn computers perhaps outside privately, which is wrong. It must be inculcated in the curriculum right from the start, so that it makes it easier for students, not just when you get to SS3 and then perhaps you are beginning to learn here and there, and then you just go write exams with a blank knowledge. So I think it will be good. Perhaps we still have 1 year. They say 2027. We still have 1 year to, or even more than that we begin to see this computer-based or computerized curriculum spread across public. If it's private schools are actually tried, but how many Nigerian students are in private schools compared to the public schools all across the country? I don't know the statistics for sure, but I want to believe Nigerian students, in public schools perhaps might be higher. So I think it will be good for government to look into that, ensure before WAEC is being rolled out in terms of CBT exams that we have larger percentage with computerized knowledge or computer-based knowledge, so that it makes it easier when these CBT exams are rolled out, perhaps in 2027 and beyond.
Well, I see a situation where if they want to make this thing to work, government will now come and say, for a school to continue to exist, you must provide computers for all your students and all. And the schools that want to stay afloat will make sure that I'm talking about private schools now, because even some private schools, most private schools that I know do not have computers that will go around and teach the students what they need to know. Some schools have one computer to serve the entire school. That's what is obtainable in a lot of schools. So you will have to be forced to buy computers while the government is not buying for themselves anyway. You'll be forced to buy computers for every pupil, and then you will be forced also to make your school fee go very high, and that means it will remove a lot of pupils from schools right now that are struggling to be in school just to get an education. There are public schools in the villages and all that do not even have electricity, and then you're talking about this, and in 2 years you're going to achieve it. Let's see how that will happen. But a lot of us are very pessimistic about that. But let's talk politics right now. The first one, very quickly, is June 12. Lamido urges Tinubu to immortalize Humphrey Nwosu. Remember, he was the one who gave us the freest and fairest election in Nigeria. At least that's what everybody says about the June 12 election that produced Abiola, that has been recognized now, and June 12 has been made a democracy day in Nigeria. But the man who made that possible, Humphrey Nwosu, is still not being immortalized, and it seems as if it's unfair, and Lamido is saying that he needs to be immortalized. Do you agree or not?
I think there shouldn't be a debate on that. If June 12 is actually adjudged to be Nigeria's freest and fairest election ever, up until date, and it's being recognized, and Abiola is actually being recognized. I think he's been recognized as a former president as well.
Yeah.
So there shouldn't be any debate in acknowledging the fact that the person at the helm of the affairs of NEC at that time, Professor Nwosu, should also be recognized for a job well done. So I'm of the opinion that at least the RNA House should be named after him, and perhaps some other prominent infrastructures across Nigeria that has to do with electioneering process. So it shouldn't be a debate. I'm surprised that the House of Assembly actually turned. I don't want to use the word fighting, but that might be the right word. Upon themselves to say, no, some people are agreeing and some people are disagreeing. I don't think it should be a debate. The professor also did a great job. And we all acknowledge that that election still in our history is the freest and fairest. So I think it should be duly acknowledged and recognized for a job well done.
Option A4, we remember that very clearly. And still on that, Senate to change presidential inauguration venue mandate, June 12 address. They want the inauguration venue for presidents to be in the National Assembly, and that the president must give an address on June 12. I don't know if that's something that they need a legislation for. The president should know that it's very important on June 12 to address people. But that's what they're saying, suggesting that the inauguration of president must be in the National Assembly. That's what they're proposing, and also the address formally will be that the president must address the people on June 12.
But that's kind of funny, because we're not practicing a unitary system of government where the president is appointed from parliament. So if they are saying the president must address the nation from the hallowed chambers, I don't think that is.
It must be inaugurated from the hallowed chambers, but the address is a compulsory thing for every June 12th.
That's okay. That's quite not bad as well. Because since we recognize June 12th as our democracy day now, and perhaps it's backed by legislation, that's not bad.
I was just wondering why they needed to make it a law.
It's not just about date. What is important is the address to carry some certain kind of way that will have influence and impact on Nigeria. So it's not just about changing dates from whether even Democracy Day that we used to know to be May 29th and now June 12th. It doesn't really change anything if what is being talked about is not affecting Nigerians positively.
Okay. Well, let's see how the coming days will be. We hope that we'll get it right. And we'd like to thank you, Mohammed, for your time this morning. Sorry for the short notice, but you always deliver, and you've done it again today. Thank you so much for your time.
Good morning, James. Thank you. My pleasure.
Okay, we've been talking with Mohammed Abdullahi, a public affairs analyst, looking at some of the headlines. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll be looking at another issue, and it has to do with politics anyway. Stay with us.